Batgirl issue 13, Tate Brombal writing with TAKESHI MIYAZAWA on the R. So, interesting structure to this one. It kind of frames it around like the mission that Cass and the rest of the team are on to go into the Unburied's headquarters, their hideout in this mountain. And some fun stuff here. The first page is like Cass diving down from a mountain. Art's gorgeous. But it flashes back to some of the conversations they were having in Samsara with Nyssa about what to do and like whether or not they should go and deal with these poppies. Like, can we stop, get rid of the supply? We don't have to kill anyone or anything like that if we do it right. So, but we also see Cass training and stuff, which she's got like her, I guess we'll call it the sporty version of her outfit, where she's taking the sleeves off and she's got like a crop top on, but she's still got the mask on, which I thought was an interesting look.
It definitely feels like she's been hanging out with the birds, right? This seems like a Black Canary influence of some kind,
Yeah, I can see that for sure. But you see that she's still thinking about her past, thinking about her time as a kid being forced to kill someone, thinking about her mother and the Unburied, and getting really kind of agitated and wound up. And it continues this idea as well of the shapeshifter character, who, Jade Tiger's not really sure if they should trust her. And the reason why he has that opinion is to be flashed back, and we see that when he was training and she came up to talk to him, she started shifting into his mother, into Bronze Tiger, into Cass even, and trying to convince him that he's basically trying to just put a rift between him and Cass and the people that he cares about. Oh, you're the child that was hidden away. You're not the one that was loved or meant to ever be important or anything like that.
Right. Which is hilarious, because then Cass feels the opposite, that he was the one that got the love because he was raised by his dad in this loving environment while she was turned into a weapon. Right. So yeah, I just very, very curious. That's what Tate Brombal's focusing in on here, to try to drive the wedge between them.
The grass is always greener on the other side, right? Like that's the idea here. So yeah, I mean, we see...
and although Jade Tiger started off as this character, I was going to say, Jade Tiger started as this character that I found was like, okay, what are we doing here? And now he's grown on me. Just kind of his naivety, it's almost like he's experiencing the world for the first time, and it's such an opposite to Cass, who has lived this entire life in her short, like we think she's like what, like 19, 20 at the oldest, right?
Some of that.
So just the balance between those two as well. So, but yeah.
Yeah, so we see them sneaking in. The shapeshifter gets, tricks one of them. Actually, there's another flashback to, what's her face, Angel Breaker talking to Nyssa. And we see that Angel Breaker kisses Nyssa, and seemingly there's some kind of a relationship here.
Yeah.
Nyssa talks a lot about being the forgotten daughter and wanting to be the one that, does what Ra's al Ghul wanted to do with Samsara but never accomplished, but her way. But Nyssa does kind of reject the kiss and walks out and says, no, there's no time for this kind of thing. But we see more action. Cass taking on some of these guards at the Unburied, and then they all steal their outfits, all their blue ninja outfits, so they can sneak in to the place. And there's a big 2-page spread once they get inside of this like marketplace. It looks like a whole town. And this was something they revealed an issue or two ago, of course, where it was like, hey, they have children, they have like a civilization in here. It's not just a bunch of ninjas.
Yeah, it's a culture.
Yeah. So, they go looking around and they're seeing different things, and the thing that catches Cassie's eye is that they're putting on like a sort of puppet show that's saying the history of the Unburied, and it reveals, seemingly, that Nyssa has been telling some fibs here about exactly who Samsara belongs to. And like the Unburied story as it goes, and they're not, they're telling this to their own children, so you could argue maybe it is kind of like propaganda internally, but there's not much reason to lie in the grand scheme of things. They're saying, no, Ra's al Ghul and Nyssa al Ghul came, took her home, killed tons of people, there was bloodshed, and then says that there was kind of a war with them, but ultimately the person that came in and defeated the Unburied and forced them out of their home was the, what did they call her finally? The Destroyer arrived, they say. And then you turn the page and the puppet that pops out is a puppet of Lady Shiva. So the big reveal here is that Lady Shiva might have forced this entire culture out of their home and driven them to the mountains. So all of a sudden, this idea of the Unburied just being a bunch of villains who, you know, had beef with Lady Shiva over something petty, it's like, oh no, they have got some legitimate grievances, one might say, about you know, what this is. So Cass basically has a panic attack. She starts like hyperventilating. Yep. And like one of the others has to come up and be like, "Oh, Cash, you're," and she's having flashbacks to when she was forced to kill someone as a kid. She's basically saying, "Oh God, my mother's like even beyond the grave, trying to make me into someone who like I don't want to be like." You know, she wanted me to help, you know, Nissa. She wanted me to help Samsara, but now it turns out that they took Samsara from other people, and she's maybe on the wrong side here. So she's having this kind of like, you know, the background's all red and stuff. It looks very bloody, and she's having visions of her mother. And the issue ends with Calden the Unseen, like the big, you know, guy from the Unburied arriving back, and you know, Cass like, you know, grabs her sword because this is the one that kills Shiva, and is like, easy. And that's been like a running thing. She keeps saying easy as she's like jumping down and infiltrating. But here it kind of feels like, you know, you just saw enough to maybe make you pause and not want to just attack this guy, but she clearly still has this passion from seeing her mother be killed. So
yeah, I like that the background on her in that final panel is that same red that's behind her as the kid covered in blood, and then Shiva.
Yeah, the little like, visions she's having have those same backgrounds. Yeah, it does make me very curious about, like, obviously there's going to be a fight here next issue, but I do wonder if Cass will ultimately yield and not want to kill him when she sort of like is able to like center herself and realize that this is like, obviously yes, this guy killed her mom. It was very brutal and all that, but at the same time now she has a lot more context for it, and she's a better person than this guy perhaps is, and certainly better than her mother was. Well,
and they fought before and he wrecked her. You know,
that's also true.
He you know, so, and that everything that he said, he was not lying, right, about Shiva, because we got a version of that story early on, how Ra's al Ghul came, wiped out the Unburied, and then Shiva came to finish the job, and that's why they're coming for revenge against the Order of Shiva, you know, trying to take her out. And turns out that, you know, as we're seeing, there might be, you know, they always say that there's three sides, right? Side A, side B, and then the truth is somewhere in between. It's starting to feel like the Unburied are more of the truthful side, you know?
Yeah.
Judging from Nissa and all that stuff.
I mean, maybe they've been a bit too ruthless, and that's why they did look like villains early on, but certainly, you know, obviously seeing the fact that they have entire families, children here, and it's like a little community, like all of a sudden it doesn't seem like, oh, they're just this evil group of ninjas who are trying to take over the world. If anything, they just want their home back for the most part.
Yeah. And they wanted to be left alone with their blue poppies that give them magic powers. Is that so much to ask?
You know? I mean, that part sounds a little unhealthy, I'll admit, but, you know, otherwise.
Yeah, true. But yeah, I you know, the fact that nothing is as it seems, and that seems to be the theme through this issue, like with Nissa and Angel Breaker, the shapeshifter, Jay Tiger and his experience in all of this.
Yeah.
You know? So I do like that. And Cass here having a panic attack, which I don't think that's a new thing, right? Like we've seen her have hesitations, but to have a full blown, like she can't control her body, that's something new to her.
Yeah, this felt like almost like a Kill Bill style, like, you know, seeing red moment, but mixed with a panic attack where she's having these flashbacks, but then she sees the guy that killed her mom, and it's like, oh, it's on time now. But it's like, but think about what you've just been seeing, Cass. Like, maybe that was the time to not, like, you know, be who your mother was, or be who they were. Like, be you, be Cassandra Cain, be daughter of the Bat, kind of thing. And it feels like, you know, I'm excited to see her kind of get to the end of her arc here, and like sort of get to the point where she makes the choice of being who she wants to be, because it feels like right now everything, even the Shiva, like after her death, is still kind of pushed her into this corner of doing her bidding in some way.
Yeah, I feel like the thing is that she has to make her own decision. She can't do she has to do what's right, like you said, embrace being the daughter of the Bat, because that's what she picked. Right, that's her identity.
It's fitting that she's seeing a puppet show to reveal a lot of this, because it feels like she is in some ways a puppet. You know, to her parents, who have both made her do awful things. So, Yeah, and honestly, at this point, I'm like, is Shiva really dead? Was that all just some like ploy to convince her? I mean, that would shock me, to be honest, at this point.
Like when we're dealing with any of the all ghouls, I don't believe anybody's fully dead, right? Because they're just a Lazarus pit away, or whatever. Like we don't know. And yeah, again, and the fact that Calden completely wrecked Cass the first time they fought, and like, you know, took away her kind of her fight vision, where she can see the moves coming. You know, like she knows that now that he can do that. So is it going to be more of a fair fight? Like, is she going to come to her senses and not even want to fight? Is this a time for a conversation and not a fight?
I suspect there'll be some fighting first, but there will be some interesting discussions after the fact. I just wonder if Jade gets, you know, if it jumps in and maybe gets hurt or something to kind of, you know, raise some stakes or maybe calm things down. Who's to say? But very intriguing all the same.
I will say that none of these sects of hidden ninjas are 100% good, right? They all have something off to them, you know, which I do appreciate too, because it would be really easy to paint the Unburied as these, you know, oh, they did nothing wrong and now they're just trying, but you know, they've done some things. It feels like, you know, shades of gray,
they're not, and all that. They're definitely not just goody two shoes. For, you know, there's at least the people who are out doing the soldiering aren't goody two shoes at the very least. Yes,
well, because we've even seen that with the Order of Shiva, right? Where like there's a whole community there, people that are helping other people, and Shiva's like the greatest fighter killer on the planet, right? So, just the fact that there's good and bad to all of these, you know. But yeah, again, Cass tends to be one of these characters that is so layered, you know, and we can get so much of the story through her eyes, through, you know, what does all this mean? It's really cool.
Yeah, and I think that they've established here that Angel Breaker's probably especially loyal to Nyssa, so if Cass and maybe the others do start to feel like they're not on that side anymore, I suspect more conflict from that as well, so, you know, that'll be a thing, but yeah, and the art's great as per usual. The snippets of action we do get of like Cass diving and taking out the guards, like, looks gorgeous, but this was not an action-heavy issue. I suspect, though, we're probably going to get a decent amount next issue based on how this ends, so... Matt, what are you giving Batgirl issue 13?
I am giving this an 8.5.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of I love where it ends. I'm going to be a bit more conservative and say just an 8, but obviously very good.